Hello, I'm Cheryl McCarthy of the City University of New York. Welcome to One to One. I'm delighted to welcome Jenny Morgenthau, the Executive Director of the Fresh Air Fund, to the program today. For 138 summers, the Fresh Air Fund has provided free vacations to more than 1.8 million needy children, and Jenny has been at the helm since 1983. How has the work of the fund changed over the years, and what new programs have been launched since we last talked to Jenny 3 years ago? Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I love to come and talk with you about the Fresh Air Fund.
As I said, it wasn't that long after the Civil War that the Fresh Air Fund was started. Who started it exactly, and how have the kids it serves and the host changed since then?
Well, it seems to have been part of some kind of fresh air movement. I mean, idea about fresh air being good for you. And in New York City, there was a lot of tuberculosis in the newly industrializing city. And there was a minister actually who'd worked on the Lower East Side and then moved to a small rural parish in Pennsylvania. And he asked his parishioners if they would invite a New York City child out in the summer to get away from literally the ills of New York City. And the first group were, in the beginning it was all Irish and Italian children because that's who were immigrants then. And the hosts were then, as they are today, a mixed bag of whoever is different communities are different, so they have somewhat different demographics. And over the years, that changed in New York. Who was an immigrant changed and who was poor changed. And for a great long period of time, most of the kids were Latino and African American, and now we have a whole new group of new immigrants that we've been making a special effort to reach out to. So it's been really interesting because, the hosts just go along being whoever they are, and the children, have changed quite dramatically.
Where are the hosts? Are they in Westchester County? Are they in New Jersey? Are they where? Connecticut? Where are they?
All of the above. They are in 13 states from Maine to Virginia, and a little part of Ontario, Canada.
My goodness, all the way down to Virginia. I didn't know that. You've been with the fund for more than 30 years. How has this work changed over time? I gather that the core of your program is still getting kids out of the city in the summertime with families, and you also have camps. But has it changed in other ways?
Well, particularly at camp, we've started some new program initiatives, which have been very exciting. 20 years, this is the 20th anniversary of our career awareness program, which we started in 1994 to introduce children to careers and to career options and get them to stay in school so they could actually exercise those options. And for the longest time we had, so it was a summer program at camp, but it was longer than the regular camp program. It was 2 weeks 4 weeks instead of 2 weeks. And then they came to camp on follow-up weekends in the spring and the fall. And we had a career fair, and we had what we called job shadowing, which is they went and visited various people in their offices to see what people did. So they could kind of make the link between, kids would just say, I want to be a doctor, but they had no idea, you had to pick a good high school. That there was a sort of path you had to follow. Mm-hmm. But it also made them feel empowered because they would see people like themselves and they would see how you do it. And so it actually gave them the idea that they could go to college and they could go on and do these things. And so then we added a secondary schools connection coordinator person who helped kids get into high school, both city high schools and private schools and boarding schools, through the various scholarship programs like ABC that are available. But, getting into high school in New York City is an oh so complicated process. And so, we've helped them with that.
And getting into a desirable high school.
Right, or at least one suited to their needs and interests.
Right.
And, not an impossible journey. Some of the, to explain to kids that may sound really good, but that's 2 hours by bus. Are you sure you want to do that? Just this last year, we added a college connection program about which I'm particularly excited. And that we have long had mentors with our high school students who chose to stay with us. So they sort of formally graduated from the Career Awareness Program when they went to high school. But then they kept coming back to us and working with mentors and working on various projects, but we didn't have a full-time person running it, so now we do. And what she does is she takes kids on college trips, and we have mentors who come every week and meet with the kids, and they work on the dreaded college essay, and we have an essay prep course. And
So these are meetings during the school year?
yeah, after school.
Okay.
And the thing that a lot of people are doing college prep and getting kids into college, but what I don't know so much about other people doing is our mentors are staying with the kids while they're in college, because our goal is for them to graduate from college. I mean, a lot of kids get into college and then they don't go. You know, they have no idea about getting ready to go, how you get there, what you take. I mean, you know, that's just, and we have somebody who donated laptops to the kids, so they all had a laptop to take with them. And we literally have orientation for them in the summer with their mentors on what to pack when you go to orientation, you know, just sort of what to expect from college.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we have our first group there now, and they're finishing up their freshman year.
How big a group is it?
The first group was 20, and this year we have 28 graduating seniors.
Okay. And the mentors are not necessarily graduates of your program. They're from all over.
All over.
Okay.
But the exciting thing is, this summer, the director of our Career Awareness Camp was one of our first Career Awareness campers 20 years ago. So that's pretty exciting.
20 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's pretty exciting.
How do you pick the children to participate in the Fresh Air? Are they from just from the 5 boroughs? Do they come to you primarily through social work agencies, or how do you get them?
We have a relationship with about 90 social service and community agencies in the 5 boroughs. And of course, the places that have the most children, i.e. housing authority projects and schools, have the least amount of staff to be able to help you. So in those places where they let us, we have sent people out to do the recruiting and signing kids up, because it's sort of a natural place to do it. I went to a school last week in Coney Island. Actually, I hadn't been to Coney Island in 100 years. And, you know, we signed up kids and had a little program and, you know, had pizza. And
so a mother or father who's listening to this program and says, hey, I think I'd like to have my kids spend the summer in the country, they can just sign up on their own, or how?
Yes, well, what they can, if they know an agency in their community that signs us up, and we, you know, try to have a lot of ads out there, and, you know, they can ask at the local school or see if anybody knows. They can always go to our website and find out what, you know, by zip code, what would be the nearest place to sign up.
Right.
Or they can call, we have an 800 number, and they can call that. It's 800-367-0003. It's 800-367-0003. And some parents like to come to our office and say they can come anytime and sign up. I mean, we have special sign-up days, sign-up events on Saturdays in our office. But if someone arrives at the door, you know, on a Wednesday, we'll have them in and sign their children up.
Now, during a given summer, how many kids would go to host families?
About 4,000 to host families and another 3,000 to camp.
Okay, okay. And how do you hook up with the host families?
Well, that's a lot of work. We have a network of volunteers in the 13-state and Canada area. We have about 310, 308 communities that do the program, and each community has a volunteer chairperson, 99% of whom are women, and a committee of volunteers to help them, and they do the recruiting of the hosts. And we help them with brochures and posters and information, and we also do PSAs, and we reach out to local newspapers, but of course, and ultimately the local press want to talk to a local person, but we set up the ask for them. And then they interview, if somebody expresses interest in hosting, they follow up with them in their home, where they interview them and check their references, and everybody has to be there, the dog, Uncle Harry, who, you know, who's ever in the family has to be there.
Do you have any request, I mean, you know, since society is changing, do you have any requests to match gay children with gay parents or anything, gay couples, anything like that? Not so much. I mean, sometimes we have special requests about, you know,
ethnicity and different kinds of things, but we don't keep track of any of that stuff. So that there's no way we would be able to do it. You know, the hosts have to be, I mean, one of the requirements really of being a host is being open-minded and flexible, and you know, you get who you get. They are allowed to ask for gender and age range. So they could say, I want a boy 6 to 9.
Right.
That's about it.
And what are the eligibility requirements for, can any city kid go to the Fresh Air? Is there an income requirement? Or
There's
anything
income
like
requirements. They're based on the school lunch program. They're a little
Okay.
bit more liberal than that. We have a sort of schedule of income eligibility criteria.
So if you qualify for school lunch, do you qualify for
Yeah.
Fresh Air? Okay, okay. And it's a stay of what, 1-2 weeks? How long?
The host family program is 2 weeks, but we have some areas where they have 1-week programs, particularly areas close to the city, because some people have like a weekend house. They don't necessarily have 2 weeks in the summer at the weekend house. Also, some people would prefer to start with a 1-week program. And at the other end of the spectrum, about 2/3 of the kids get re-invited by the same host family every year. And some of them are a re-invited child can keep going until they're 18.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
okay.
at the bus station, we have a lot of teenagers who've been going for 10 years.
Okay, so it's basically from ages 3 to 18.
6.
From 6 to 18. I was thinking 3 is pretty young.
Pretty young.
Take them up there with the car seat and the stroller.
In fact, when I came to the Fresh Air Fund, they were sending 5-year-olds, and I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
We raised it to 6.
Okay.
Because, you know, there wasn't universal kindergarten then, and, you know, these kids had not been away from their mothers.
Right.
You know, so.
We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back with more with Jenny Morgenthau, Executive Director of the Fresh Air Fund, right after this message. Welcome back to One to One. I'm Cheryl McCarthy of the City University of New York, and I'm talking with Jenny Morgenthau, Executive Director of the Fresh Air Fund. I would imagine that a lot of your matches would be cross-racial, cross-cultural.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. And I think that, you know, kids discover that kids are kids, and they have a good time playing kind of right away. It's really quite amazing. I mean, we didn't, you know, the program didn't start as a way to get people to know about other cultures, but that's certainly what's happened.
What do the kids and the host families tell you that they learned from each other?
Well, the host kids and the host parents certainly learned some new city language.
Okay.
And
we won't go into what it is, but we can imagine.
And, you know, they, you know, learn a little bit about what it's like to live in the city and to have a different experience. And the city kids all say that their favorite thing is swimming and making new friends. I mean, the sort of making friends part of it seems to be, for the children, the most important on both sides. And the host families will all tell you that they all feel sort of like they get more than they give, that, you know, for them it's an enriching experience for themselves and as a family and for their kids. You know, there's some people who used to live in the city or who, you know, feel or live in very homogeneous communities who feel it's very important for their children to be exposed to differences.
Does the entire cost of the hosting, is that borne by the family, or how does that work?
Well, I mean, basic, you know, room and board, so to speak, is the host families. And,
right.
But we pay for transportation, and if there's any insurance and any medical expenses that may come up, things like that.
And you have something called the Friendly Town program.
That's the host family program.
Oh, okay.
We're double branded. It makes it confusing.
Oh, okay.
Some PR person said to us, "You're double branded."
So tell me about your camps. You have 5 camps?
We have 5 camps in Fishkill, New York, and it's a beautiful 2,300-acre property, which is very, a lot of it's in Putnam County, and it's very wooded and hilly and rocky. And because it's so big, the 5 camps are completely separate. I mean, when you drive around, you don't see kids or hear noise because they're all doing kind of small group activities in different spots. Of course, when you go to lunch, you hear them, but there's 5 different dining rooms, there's 5 different infirmaries, there's 5 administrations, they're completely separate. and swimming is a big feature. And they mostly do outdoor kinds of activities that they don't get in the city. I mean, we don't do a lot of basketball and baseball and things like that. I mean, obviously we do some because the kids want it, but it's not, you know, a sort of organized activity. It's more like in free time you can shoot hoops if you want, but it's not stressed. And
are the camps all co-ed, or are they?
2 are co-ed and the rest are single sex.
Okay.
And
are they divided up by age or?
Yeah.
Okay.
But because of our experience with Camp Mariah, the Career Awareness Program, with doing education, I mean, about half the day in that program are you know, they go to classes. And we discovered, you know, that we're good at it and the kids like it and the parents certainly like it. So we rebuilt 3 of our other camps. It was time. And we built in more indoor program space, both so that they could have some of the educational programming and so there was a place to do something in the rain.
Right.
On rainy days. And that's, you know, has been very popular. Things like computer labs and journalism and video and cooking and fashion and design and things like that.
Are your camps running all summer or?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. You told me about your career program and the College Connections program. There's also something called the Young Women's Giving Circle.
That is a really special program that was started by one of our donors and the mother of a board member who had started a similar program in Detroit. And then it had been replicated all around Michigan as she brought her people with her from Michigan to train our staff. And the girls are, they're younger teenagers who they start in the summer and then they have meetings in the fall and the winter after school. And they pick a charity that they want. Well, first they pick a subject that they want to support for the year, whether it's bullying or teen pregnancy, or they pick a topic. And then they research a possible agency to give a grant to. And from the very beginning, we had a small amount of money in the budget for them to make the grant with, but the kids wanted to raise money themselves. So they do bake sales and other kinds of things. And they discovered that if they did a bake sale outside our boardroom on the day of the board meetings, that they make a killing.
From hungry board members.
Or at least generous ones.
Generous board members.
So that's been a very popular and successful program.
So there's a number of groups, or one group. Is it one group or? One group. Okay, okay.
But they do in the end when they're picking the final thing, they have a debate. And they, to decide, which charity to pick.
Okay.
It's really kind of interesting.
Cool.
And the kids run it themselves.
Okay. There seems to be you move towards having programs with kids year round.
Right.
Okay.
Right. We had started with just regular camp on weekends and school vacations, which. And we did them with all kinds of different groups. And about 10 years ago, we switched that to doing the off-season programs with our same campers that we had in the summer. So, and we also said to the referring agencies, we want to give priority to kids who have been before, because we saw with our success with the career camp that, a more intensive relationship with us really paid off in seeing, improvement in kids' lives and daily activities and so forth. So, and then, we have the special career program that also uses the camp year-round.
Do you see children, I think you would see them developing lasting ties to their host families?
Oh, absolutely. Obviously not everyone. But, my favorite story is these 2 80-year-old women who one had been the host and one had been the Fresh Air Fund child. And they had stayed friends, all this time, and they had both gotten married and became parents and then grandparents and then widows, and they were living together.
Wow.
I know, isn't that
so
amazing?
One was a host child and one was a Fresh Air Fund child.
And we've had kids come and college students come and work for us in the office in the summer. We have a lot of college students that we hire, and one of them will be the host child and one of them will be the city kid, the the host child wanted to be the city kid,
Mm-hmm.
maintain that relationship, and they both come together to work for us.
Okay, okay. Are these paid jobs? Are these?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I like to see. I really, there's so many unpaid internships these days. I really like to see
No, we
college
don't do that.
paid.
We don't
I
do
like to see college kids get paid for what they do. Um, what's the cost of sending a child to one of your camps?
It costs us about $1,600 a child for 2 weeks of camp.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And where does the money come to fund your programs?
From mostly from individual donors. I mean, one of the reasons that we try to get so much publicity is so that people know about our program, and then when they get those direct mail envelopes that they'll give to us, and we've been very lucky. And just like people host year after year, people give year after year.
Mm-hmm.
So we have many donors who've been giving for a really long time.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What would you say are your most pressing needs at this particular time?
Right now, I'd say more hosts. It's the program is run primarily by women who now all work and have a lot of calls on their time. And we also have, like everybody else, we have more requirements concerning safety and other things. So there's more paperwork to do. And so we try to make the job as easy as possible, but we really need to get the word out that there's so many children who could benefit from the program that we really would like to increase the number of children that we send.
About how many hosts do you have, sort of, in terms of a base?
Well, it's almost 4,000. I mean,
Okay.
there's some people who take more than one child, but not very many. It's like 1.8 children or 6 children per family. So we don't encourage it.
And you're obviously trying to get more children registered, right? Is that part of your?
Right. That's easier than getting hosts. And there's definitely a mismatch between hosts have this idea that they want a little girl, and parents have this idea they want to send a slightly older boy. So there's always that. I mean, if I was doing it, I try to tell people, take a little boy. They're so much easier. But
Really? Is that true?
I think so.
That could well be.
I think a 10-year-old boy. If I was going to host, if I could take the summer off, I'd take a 10-year-old boy.
Really?
In a
Okay.
heartbeat. But hosts who have girls are going to ask for a girl, and hosts who have boys are going to ask for the daughter they never had, right? So it's kind of and sometimes people think that somehow boys from New York City might be scary. Well, a 9-year-old boy from New York City is not any scarier than a 9-year-old boy from anywhere.
And probably not as scary as maybe a 13-year-old girl from New York City. Has your family ever? I think you all have a farm someplace,
Right.
some great place. Have you ever hosted Fresh Air Fund Kids there?
I can't because I have to work
Oh, okay.
in the summer. I would love to just say to the staff, okay, I'm out of here. I'm gonna
But you're chained to your desk.
Right, exactly.
I would imagine that more gifts, more donations would always be welcome.
Absolutely. We're all this costs a lot of money, and we work very hard at getting the word out, particularly in the metro area, in order to have people support us.
31 years as the.
Do we have to dwell on that?
It's a long time. Well, you have job longevity, but that's a long time to stay at one place. So obviously there are reasons why you have.
Well, first of all, it's a really rewarding job. It's what I call a happy program. I mean, my last job in city government was at the city's child welfare agency, which is not a lot of fun.
Right.
And although, I had a really good job there, but it's just we get to make so many people happy. So I like that aspect of it, and I like going to camp and seeing the kids having fun. I went to camp when I was a child.
Okay.
I think camp is for all children, not just poor children. And I think camp is a really important part of learning to adapt to the world and learning new skills and getting along with people and all those things. And, I really buy into that because that was the experience that I had. But I think that there's always some new challenge. There's a couple of years ago, we kind of noticed that some of our agencies didn't have enough kids. And I said, well, I think that's because, this huge population shift. I mean, we have a lot of agencies in Harlem, but a lot of who is poor now are in Queens, and they're new immigrants in Queens and Brooklyn. And we now have our outreach materials in about 12 languages, and we have people on staff in the summer who speak Spanish, obviously, and also Chinese. And we've made a big effort to reach out to those populations.
You have a lot more Asian children now? Yeah.
And people said, oh, Chinese people won't send kids, but that turns out to be wrong. People have these ideas of things that frequently turn out to be wrong.
Okay, well, 138 years and counting, so 31 years and counting as executive director. So we'll see you in a few more years and see what's new.
Thank you so much.
We're out of time. I want to thank Jenny Morgenthau for joining us today. The Fresh Air Fund welcomes your input, whether it's financial or opening your home to a child. So why not visit their website at freshair.org or call 212-897-8900. For the City University of New York and One to One, I'm Cheryl McCarthy. If there are any people you'd like to hear from or topics you'd like us to explore, please let us know. You can write to me at CUNY TV, 365 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10016, or you can go to the website at cuny.tv and click on Contact Us. I look forward to hearing from you.